What's up, my friends in the film fandom, wherever you may be and however you may be watching? Thank you so much for giving us just a little bit of your time. You know, the Legacy sequels, I mean, look, they're not going away anytime soon. So I think the best thing we can do now at this point is just have fun with them, watch them, see if they're any good. We've got a new Alien movie coming out like 150 years after the first one. Top Gun Maverick was fantastic. It really blew me away. Why not go after one of the best action comedy movies ever? Revisit that universe. That's what we're doing tonight. Thanks for joining us. Jeremy, a little bit busy tonight doing some stuff, but here with us, as always, is the rest of my crew, such as the Director Countess Lady Cora. How are you tonight, man?
I'm good. Enjoying a Vegas summer.
So what is I was talking to Tex yesterday, and I think both of you are probably in roughly the same boat temperature-wise, 100 plus degrees.
But I'm between 103 and 120 on an average, and it's not bad because there's no humidity. Yeah. It's not bad at all. So
yeah, I've been really fortunate. Just like I said, Tex was just telling me, he said yesterday was 100 something, 103, whatever. And I was thinking to myself earlier, I was like, today it's a nice, comfortable 80 degrees. It was a little overcast, not a whole lot of humidity, a bit warm, but still comfortable.
A comfortable day is 103.
Now, you see, this is what I liked about growing up in California. It was 75 degrees year round. It's like if it got really, really cold, it was like during the winter off the Pacific, on the bay, all the cold water coming off. It would get down into like the 30s, but like 30 degrees in California is not 30 degrees anywhere else. It's just like shorts and a hoodie, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But and like during the summer, if it got really, really hot, it would be like pushing 90. But that was about it. And you can still, I always tell people that like the difference between summer and winter where I grew up is that in the summer you surf in board shorts, in the winter you surf in a wetsuit. That's the difference between summer and winter where I grew up. But yeah, it's all good. And then of course the Shape the Lone Star State, my man Tex. What's up, brother?
Well, for the ones that know, I had some pretty serious health stuff happen. I want to all of the well wishes I did receive from the ones that reached out. I'm not dead yet, so Satan's not through with me raising hell. I haven't corrupted enough souls yet. I haven't fulfilled my contract, so I'm still on this earthly plane. So, I got some work to do apparently there.
Someone was looking down on you, and they were just like, "He's only really got like a month and a half till Terrifier 3 comes out. I can give him that month and a half." It's like,
well,
I'll do that for him.
If I can make it to Terrifier 3, as we discussed, and I get the Arthur Clown popcorn bucket, my ashes can go in there, and it can go on Frank's wall behind him somewhere. I will forever be on the channel. It'll be fine. So, don't worry.
That occurs to me. You said that. I know we were talking yesterday about the popcorn buckets and all that. I was like, how long until somebody actually uses one of those as an urn? There's going to be some like super Deadpool fan or super Ryan Reynolds fan and be like, I want to be cremated and have my ashes put in the Deadpool popcorn.
I've got
into my grave.
I've got the Saw popcorn bucket of the Billy head with the light up eyes. So if I do go before Terrifier 3, you can always put me in that one. So it's fine. So
plenty of things we'll be able to do with those ashes. But
this is true.
But before we start making burial plans for anybody, we gotta start talking about this movie. We are here, of course, to talk about Beverly Hills Cop Axel F. It is a 2024 American action comedy film directed by Mark Malloy and written by Will Beal, Tom Gormican, and Kevin Etten from a story by Beal. This serves as the fourth installment in the Beverly Hills Cop series and a sequel to Beverly Hills Cop 3, which came out in 1994. Eddie Murphy, who also produces this film, reprises his role as Axel Foley, with Judge Reinhold, John Ashton, Paul Reiser, and Bronson Pinchot repeating their roles from previous films in the franchise, while Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Taylor Page, and Kevin Bacon star in new roles. In this movie, Axel Foley has returned to Beverly Hills after his daughter Jane and his old partner Billy Rosewood's lives are threatened. She and Axel team up with her ex-boyfriend Bobby Abbott and his old pals John Taggart and Serge to uncover a conspiracy. On the review aggregator Rotten Tomatoes website, 66% of 188 critics' reviews are positive, with an average rating of 6.1 out of 10. The website's consensus review reads, quote, content to let the very game Eddie Murphy bring all the heat. I don't know if they typed that wrong or if I copied it wrong. That was ugly. Let me try it again. Content to let a very game Eddie Murphy bring all the heat, the fourth Beverly Hills Cop coasts on nostalgia but marks a welcome return for Axel Foley. After premiering July 3rd on Netflix, the film earned 41 million views in 5 days. During its second week, Beverly Hills Cop Axel F remained the most watched film on Netflix, scoring 22.2 million views and 43.7 million hours viewed. The film had a budget of $150 million. Now, you guys have both seen the film. Tex, I'm sure that you are probably familiar with the originals from the 80s like I am. I'll go to you first. Give me your quick thoughts on Beverly Hills Cop Axel Foley.
Yeah, I didn't realize this was the fourth one. I'll be real honest. I thought this was the third. I guess I just erased 3 from my mind like everybody else.
You're fine to do just that.
But yeah, no, I'm a fan of the first two. I mean, they're fun 80s action, shoot 'em ups with funny one-liners and Eddie Murphy. But yeah, when I had no expectations going into this one. I'll be honest with you, and I was kind of happy I didn't, because it's a mindless action movie, and it's kind of what it needed to be. I mean, there's nothing really offensive in here that's, oh my God, I can't believe they did blah or whatever, So, fun watch. It's, I don't regret watching it. So it was a fun one.
Yeah, Lady Cora, how about you? I mean, we talked yesterday, and you said you weren't overly familiar with the original, the first movies, but you did watch this one for the purpose of our review. I mean, just coming in again as an outsider, what did you think of this movie?
Can you hear us?
Cora. She's probably muted. She does that a lot.
Wait, I am talking. Jesus. I was saying, let me start over. I knew that Eddie Murphy had a Netflix deal for more movies after he did that other Coming to America sequel. And I was always curious what he was going to end up doing for him. And I think it's pretty damn cool that he did a follow-up to a most beloved character. I never saw the Beverly Hills Cop movies, any of them. I know they existed. I've seen, this and that about them, but my first take on it was these are nice, cool characters. I recognize the actors that you mentioned from other projects, and I really enjoyed the family angle of it. So many of these movies made today are about either, horror or a love story. And it was neither. Like, it was just about family and fun and, friendship. And I really enjoyed that part of it. So I do, like I told you yesterday, I want to go back and watch the first one. But without seeing the prior movies, I enjoyed this.
Yeah, again, I mean, the legacy sequels, they've been really hit or miss, but I mean, I think with this movie, well, as opposed to something like Top Gun Maverick, which is supposed to be like mostly serious and action, but also have kind of this flavor that only a guy like Tom Cruise can bring to it. You kind of had the same thing here, but in reality, it just needed to be kind of a nostalgia trip. Because one of the things I liked about Top Gun Maverick is they didn't go overly heavy on the nostalgia. There was moments, and they made it kind of part of the internal struggle of Maverick as he got older rather than a big story point. That's kind of what they did here. It's like they could have made this movie and it felt like that we did not really miss a beat from Axel Foley after all these years. Like, he's just always been doing Axel Foley things. I love the opening scene of the movie. They were playing the Pointer Sisters while he's driving the snowplow, chasing these guys on quad runners. And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, this is a Beverly Hills Cop opening. This is what sets the tone for one of these movies. This is how it's supposed to go. So I was kind of in it from the beginning. Do I have some issues with it? Yeah. I mean, look, Netflix, while they've put out some good stuff, they've put out a couple of stinkers as well. But this one isn't really a stinker. I mean, I think they kind of missed a few things story-wise. Beats that should have been there for a Beverly Hills Cop movie with Axel Foley. But at the end, I was like, you know what? I just wanted this movie to be better than the third one, which was not good at all. It had its moments, but it was not good. I wanted it to be Eddie Murphy just being Axel Foley, being Eddie Murphy. Because this is one of those roles, a lot of people don't realize it. It gets overlooked because there's so many roles, and it's been so long since he's been on the screen in this role. But this is one of those roles that, like, nobody else can really play it the same. I mean, you can reboot it and put somebody else in there, and they can be funny. But it's like, for almost 40 years now, he has been this character. We talk a lot about how Tom Cruise basically plays Tom Cruise in every movie. This is kind of like Eddie Murphy just being himself. He's a funny guy by nature. So just letting him go out there and do the actiony stuff that he did so well in the 80s and 90s.
Well, if you compare this to his stand-up, where he's himself, it's spot on to me.
Oh yeah. You mentioned the fact that he had signed a deal with Netflix to do some stuff. I really thought, I still kind of do. I really thought that maybe he would go back and he would do another good hour of stand-up. Hopefully, I mean, fingers crossed still, because Raw and Delirious are still some of the funniest stand-ups I've ever heard in my life. And I was really hoping that he would put together another hour for Netflix. But I mean, if he does or doesn't, fine. Because Eddie Murphy is still a really good actor on top of being a great comedian. Have you ever seen Mr. Church? That's a great movie. He acts the shit out of that movie. He plays like a cook that works for this lady and her daughter. And I forget where the dad is. He's gone, died, left, whatever. I don't know what it is. And he becomes friends with these people. And, they start this relationship that goes on for years and years. And it's a really emotional movie that's actually very good. I mean, he's got funny lines in it, of course, because he's Eddie Murphy. He's got to crack a joke. He can't go more than 2 minutes without cracking a joke. That's what he does. But in the setting of this movie, it was fantastic. But yeah, I thought it was overall, it was a great way to continue on, maybe give us another dose of the world of Axel Foley. But let's get into the let's break down the movie now. Let's start with the cast. I mean, obviously the original three come back. That kind of had to happen. That was one of the things that really hurt the third movie, is the chemistry was obviously off. Not having fucking John Ashton there, and even in this movie, not having Ronnie Cox around, I think was a bit of a mistake. I think you could have squeezed him in here somehow in some fashion, but that's just me. But I'll go to you first, Cora. What do you think of the cast of the movie? Did it work out well for you, and who stood out the most?
Well, I think it was fantastic, especially the comeback kids, as I'll call them, the people who came back with him. I think they're all great actors. I'm a huge Paul Reiser fan. I watched Mad About You growing up and fell in love with his way of just being a normal, average, everyday Joe type guy to relate to. And he's great in this. And I will say the one character I thought might be, when I first started seeing the movie, was the daughter, but she softens. So I'm realizing that the iciness was not so much her acting being, the way it is. It's just she was really in the character. Because at the very end, when she's, helping him out of the diner and going back to the hospital, there's a softness there that is completely different. So her character arc was really good. And they found an actress who could do it well. So I can't speak to the chemistry of the actors from the prior movies, but I will say that the younger people they brought in, the guy from Third Rock from the Sun, I forget his name, you mentioned it. They were all really good. So I would say they had a nice mix of new faces and old faces, and they all blended well, and they all played their parts well.
Tex, how about you? I mean, like I said, like myself, you were familiar with the original films. What do you think of the cast of the movie, the additions that were made, who stood out to you the most?
Well, as any 80s action comedy shoot 'em up is only as memorable as its villain. And we got a really good one with Kevin Bacon in this one. I mean, it's obvious the minute we're introduced to him, he's the swarmy kind of douchebaggery kind of guy. We know he's the villain at the end of it. They don't even try to hide it. But twice this year, I've got to see Kevin Bacon die in L.A. in a law enforcement role. First in Maxine, where he plays the private eye, and he gets smushed within a car crusher. In this one, he gets, head took off. But, Kevin Bacon was really good in this. I mean, he's good in everything that the man ever does. But besides him, a lesser-known guy, I guarantee you probably don't even have his picture, but his main goon, the guy who had one earring, Mark Ellengrove.
I think that's him, actually.
It may be him in the mask. I'm not sure. But he didn't really get much speaking lines, but he played the devil on Supernatural on that CW TV show for years and years. And I was really happy to see him get it's not a big break. I don't know what roles he's going to get from it. But I thought he did really well in the, 80s goon style with the slicked back hair and the gold earring and the whatever. Those two played well. And, I mean, come on. It's Kevin Bacon. I mean, the guy can't miss, it seems like. So he knows what roles to hit. So.
Yeah, myself, I loved having the chemistry of like Rosewood and Taggart and Eddie Murphy together again. I thought it was a lot of fun. This scene right here actually reminded me of one of the scenes in the second movie when they're driving the cement truck, which I thought was hilarious.
Oh, but, when they're talking about if Joseph Gordon-Levitt had intercourse with his daughter or not, that was a tremendous conversation. Yeah,
that's a good conversation. But there is two people that stand out. Number one, I agree with you. I mean, Kevin Bacon. Good God, this guy's a treasure. I mean, I've always been a big Kevin Bacon fan anyway. Child of the '80s, Footloose, all the other stuff. Everything he's done, so terribly good. But God, he is such a good bad guy. A lot of actors, even actors that have been around for a while and are well loved, when they try to play a villain, they're so likable and they're so loved. I mean, Red McCormick in Footloose eventually becomes this guy. If I were to tell you that a long time ago, you'd have been like, no way that Red McCormick becomes this. But now you see it kind of live action. You're like, holy shit, that's good. That works out great. Yeah. So he really does carry this movie as a great villain, and I really think that's what made this movie better. It's like, because the movie, like I said, while entertaining, was kind of average. But what puts it over the top is that great villain. And that's what he does, because he's got that smile and everything. He's so, I mean, even here when he's framing him for, possession of some kind of drugs,
okay.
he's got the smile on his face. If you didn't know the context of the scene, you would look at this and be like, that's just Kevin Bacon doing cool Kevin Bacon shit. What's he doing? I want to know what Kevin Bacon's doing. But, he's fantastic. The other person that one of the legacy characters that stood out to me, I wasn't sure if it was going to work having him back in the movie or not, was Serge. Because he's in the first movie. He's not in the second movie. I think they put him in the third movie because they wanted to have a little bit of connective tissue to the first movie. But that movie was so bad it didn't matter. Yeah, actually, it was a nice little bit of nostalgia. This is one of the best nostalgia things they do with this movie, is by having Serge in the movie, because again, it kind of pulls all three of these movies, the best parts of all three of them, mostly the first two. It pulls them all together a little bit. And if this is going to be the last time we ever see Axel Foley on screen, it's nice to have this little send off. But yeah, I mean, again, the main three casts are just fantastic. And Joseph Gordon-Levitt, I like him. I've liked him in a lot of movies. I couldn't really get with his character in this. It's like, I still can't, even after having watched the movie 3 times now, I can't quite put my finger on what about his character didn't work for me. I don't feel like it was his fault. I feel like he should have been a bigger part. I feel like he should have been a bigger part of things.
Or you don't get the backstory fully of him, of why he stopped doing this and now he's a desk guy.
Well, he's a little too background in this movie for me. I think he should have been more in the forefront. And yeah, he kind of comes into it a little bit as him and Axel are off for about 5 minutes of the movie doing their investigation thing. But I don't think he's a big enough part of the story, other than for every now and again for Eddie Murphy to be like, you see with my daughter. It's like the first time that joke was funny. The second time I was like, we've been here before. We've done this. If it's going to be a running gag, you kind of have to hit and run with that gag. You can't let it go on for more than a minute or two. Then it's kind of flat. And I think that's kind of what they did over the course of this movie a couple times. But I mean, like I said, I like Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I just wish they would have given his character more. What were you about to say, Tex?
Well, I was going to say, with so much big personality in this film, sucking the juice out of it. I mean, just between Eddie Murphy and Kevin Bacon, there's not a lot left, character-wise for anybody else to really do. So, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, he was, he kind of tasked as the, straight-laced kind of, I'm dating this guy's daughter, role. Like, so that doesn't really allow for a lot of personality or comedy to come through. Now, that being said, I will say the scene where they're with Serge going to look at the house that they're not going to buy, and he has to play up how they're pregnant and babies on the way, like how he played that in that scene, I thought was fantastic. Though that was really good. So that was pretty fun. I did enjoy that part.
Yeah, but again, the cast was fantastic. Adding Kevin Bacon only made it. I mean, you never go wrong adding talent. Kevin Bacon was the right guy. And I really like the fact that he's done a few different things with his career in the last several years. I mean, he went the horror route with Maxine. I haven't seen him do a legit horror movie. Well, he did that one They Them TV show that I'd heard wasn't very good. But I mean, honestly, going back to Yeah, going back to the original Friday the 13th is the last time I've seen him do any real horror. I think he did one or two over the years, but I don't think they were really big.
There was another one that Kevin Bacon did, kind of a spooky, more supernatural horror with him and Amanda Seyfried. I forget what the name of the film is. I saw it once, but it wasn't like super memorable, where he plays like an older husband or something. I can't remember. But I mean, yeah, Kevin Bacon, he's done everything. I mean, it's like you said, he's a versatile actor. He's done from Footloose to Friday the 13th. I mean, he's covered the full spectrum here. So I mean, hell, it's what's that game? Is it 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon or some fuck thing like that? I don't know.
Yeah,
but yeah, so he's all over the place.
But let's talk about the plot of the movie now. I'll go to you first, Tex. I mean, the plot of the movie, not bad. I thought it was pretty decent storytelling, something that fits in the modern world, but still can happen to Axel Foley. Tex, what do you think of the plot? Was there anything you would change, or did it work out good for you?
Pretty standard plot sequel to an 80s action shoot 'em up. It's, hey, here's characters you remember. We're going to give you just enough of a story to keep you interested and get from scene to scene, and we're going to hit you with the member berries. That's kind of what this plot was. I mean, nothing really. It's an 80s action shoot 'em up. It doesn't. This plot isn't any more than it needs to be, and I can honestly appreciate that about it, because they could have tried to have gone overboard with it. Done something more, but hey, we're here to see Eddie Murphy do Eddie Murphy things. But, that's fine with me. I mean, it's just, it's what it should have been.
Cora, how about you? Did the plot of the movie work for you? Was there something that you would have changed?
I don't think I'd change anything. I very much like how they weaved the action into, deep dialogue and serious plot, and had a nice balance of, the good guys being together and then them, getting the job done. I especially liked how they took their time in getting to the point where they confirmed that Kevin Bacon was a bad guy. Like, they made you, like it was 100%, and they gave you enough doubts of how Axel Foley often jumps to conclusions before, he has proof, and you're like, I wonder. And then it turns out he's right. And then, I don't know. I think the plot worked really well. It moved well. It didn't seem slow or dry. I don't think I'd change anything other than maybe, I know this sounds bad, but I mean, all those 2 or 3 sequences of him driving in a car, waving at everybody down the street. I mean, it could have cut those in half. I mean, to get to the more of the story, but I get that's part of the, maybe it ties into the original movies that I haven't seen yet, but maybe it's fan service.
I think that was more to just show the landscape of where they were at. Look, we're in Hollywood. Here's the blah 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 thing. Here's the whatever, just to kind of fill out the landscape and the time, whatever.
Yeah, that, and it is kind of a trope of the Beverly Hills Cop movies, when he first gets to Beverly Hills, driving around and just kind of like smiling at girls and winking. And because remember, he's coming from Detroit, a city in the Midwest where it is not Beverly Hills.
Yeah.
Whereas, in Detroit, you have people walk in the liquor store, where in Beverly Hills, it's one of the things I really liked about this sequence actually is he looks over and he sees the kid holding up the phone, who's probably 10 years old, holding up the phone, recording his mom was doing some dance for Instagram or some shit in front of some store on Radio Drive. And I was like, that's exactly the kind of thing that this character would never see on a daily basis, because he lives in Detroit, whereas that kind of thing doesn't happen all the time. Yeah, and then he sees the blonde driving the car that says prenup on the license plate, which I thought was hilarious. But yeah, that's kind of a trope of all the Beverly Hills Cop movies. They always have that little montage when he first gets to Beverly Hills, kind of seeing Beverly Hills.
I'll say this. I never wanted to go to Detroit already, but after seeing that just solidified every decision I've made about ever going to that city. I'm like, I know where I fit and I know where I don't fit, and I do not fit there. So I will not be in Detroit, Michigan at any point in time. So, they can have it. It's all good.
Unless you give him tickets to go to the Cowboys play the Lions, then he might go. But
stadium in back. Cowboy tickets. As long as I can wear line 3 Kevlar head to toe, I'm there. just let me get all lined up. But it's all good.
There's something that really smart they did with this plot is they basically made it an 80s story, because in the 80s, whenever you had a cop movie, like 80% of the time it was like about dirty cops. That was, I know if you think back, you're like, let me think about 10 cop movies randomly from the 80s. It's like 8 of them were about dirty cops or cops being involved in something, even unwittingly for the most part. It's like, it's dirty cop. So yeah, dirty cop. But I mean, you added somebody who a killer actor to play the bad guy, Kevin Bacon. You add in the extra little, look, you had to make this movie different, a little bit different than the first movie somehow. So by inserting his daughter into the mix, that changes the equation for him as a character. That makes it just different enough, because it would have been just like another, I got to go back to Beverly Hills to solve a crime. It'd have been, I would have looked at it and been like, you couldn't have spiced it up a little bit. I mean, after 40 years in the first movie, you couldn't have given me just a little element that would have changed the flavor of this thing just a little bit. But they did by having his daughter in there, and by also making her character every bit as badass as he is. I mean, not necessarily as a cop, but I mean, as aggressive and tenacious as he is as a cop, she is that as a lawyer. Yeah. And having to see the characters not just at a personal level because of what exists with the animosity exists with them personally, but their goals of maybe not always jiving up the way that they would want them to. It gave another good kind of dimension there. Yeah. So I thought that while they could have made it very different, they gave it kind of a basic 80s plot, but spice it up just enough to where it was going to be a little bit fresh. What do you say, Tex?
The one thing that I did find kind of clunky plot wise, I guess, was how, like, whenever it's Eddie Murphy and the daughter, and they're out, and I think they're in her car, and they're following the guys that they put the tracker on the
after the
SUV in front of them.
They put on the school bus,
and they're following them to that nightclub, and like that whole ride, they're bickering and arguing, and I've only been a dad as long as you were a kid, and blah blah blah, and everything else. And then Axel goes into the nightclub himself to try to get upstairs. And like prior to that scene, the daughter was having no part. Like she didn't even want him in the car with him. And then she just all of a sudden jumps in to help him in on the skit, calling in the fire code or whatever it was she was talking about and playing up to the story. And I did find that kind of clunky how they handled that father-daughter relationship. I mean, it's either rocky or it's not. They kind of played back and forth with it a little bit loose. Maybe they could have tightened that up a bit, but it wasn't bad enough that it pulled me out of the movie. I will say that.
Yeah, I thought the plot generally was pretty good. I can't think of a whole lot I would have changed about the plot. Again, it's you had to make it kind of something that was going to work in Axel Foley's world, but at the same time, just alter it enough. I do like the fact that I like the fact that they did it, even though I wanted to see more screen time of them. I do like the fact that they did not have like Billy in there for the whole movie. It didn't just become them three solving the crime again. They had to rearrange it a little bit. So Billy being missing most of the movie, Taggart not being around, but not necessarily being a part of investigating this thing, I thought was the right way to go, because it kept things a little more fresh. Because if you just saw, honestly, if you just saw 3 60, 70-year-old guys running around LA trying to solve a drug deal, I might have been like, it's like you made me believe in Rocky Balboa that Rocky went out there and fought Mason Dixon one more good time just to kill that lion that was still inside him. But even that was a bit of a stretch.
They just wanted to go get a porterhouse, man. What can you say?
If I'd have seen that this time, I would have been like, now you're taking a piss a little bit. I mean, I don't know that I could have gone with that. But I like the fact that they did that. I mean, Billy's still involved, Taggart's still involved. But it was kind of like the new Star Wars movies. It was like, yeah, Luke and Leia are there, but they're not the driving force behind all this thing. We're moving past that and maybe into a little bit of something else. And I thought that was the right thing to do. Just having the 3 old guys go around and do it again might not have been great. However, it could have been awesome. I mean, I don't know that it would have been. I think it probably wouldn't have been, but it would have been awesome to see them rolling around LA doing their thing again. Just for nostalgia.
I do think Taggart. I like how they handled. He's got the old lady, just riding his ass all the time, and I'm working while he's over on the treadmill, taking his pills and exercising, trying to handle police business. Yeah, I like how they handled him within the film, where he's, by all rights, he would have been retired 10 years before if this was a real life cop kind of scenario, but
Well, he did retire, but he came back. Remember, they made that reference.
Right, well, that's what I'm saying.
That's how they explained him away out of the third movie. He said he retired and moved to Arizona.
Right. Well, this is what I'm saying. So I like how they handled he's still kind of working just because he doesn't want to go home, and I can understand that and whatever. And it was the comedy of how they handled Taggart within that part of the film. I thought was fun and very creative the way to do it because he's still around, and hey, they need every face they can to erase that bad taste that was 3 apparently, because I don't even remember that movie. I should probably go back and watch it.
The only thing that's ever made me like the third one is they filmed it at what used to be called Paramount Straight America. It's in a big amusement park about a half hour from where I grew up. That was the amusement park when I was a kid that we would go to once or twice a summer. It's actually right across the parking lot from Levi Stadium where the Niners play now. They actually share a parking lot in Santa Clara. But
so they're next to a landfill. I got you.
Yeah. A landfill has got a lot of Super Bowl trophies, but the best team in the NFC. But
how many do y'all have? We got 5 over here.
Always better than some team, one of those teams from Texas. But and having spent many hours on roller coasters at that very amusement park, that was the only thing about that movie that I've ever really enjoyed seeing was that like the whole scene where he's like they're on that. I forget what they used to be called the bird cages, I think, back in the day. But those cages that just kind of swing around in the air, where he's like in the third movie where he's getting ready to fall off one of those. He saves the kid. I always watch the movie and I'm like, I stood right there. That's so fucking dope. But other than that, the movie was terrible. But now let's get on to potential future for this thing. I mean, lots has been said about what could be happening, but I don't know if it's going to happen more. Look, they're talking about another Top Gun. They just made another Alien movie. I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility. I don't know that the movie has been rated that high. Cora, do you think there's a future for this? I mean, or is this just a logical place for it?
You said something earlier that said this is a great way to kind of leave Axel Foley, in the fans' eyes, or however you worded it. I think if they tried it again, the chances of them getting all these people in it again, and the chances of them having like a warm, fuzzy feeling, like how they did with having him getting reconnected with his daughter, I think it's limited. I mean, if it's for action and silliness, sure, but they did a lot in this movie from the way you guys are talking, and I just don't think they're going to get what they're. And frankly speaking, does Eddie Murphy want to risk, ending it on a note that people don't like when this did decently well enough? I mean, I'm sure, he's got so many other projects he might want to do before he stops acting. So I don't know.
Tex, what do you think? I mean, do you think there's a future for this character, or should this just be where they end it?
Well, I think we're all smart enough to know in the land that is the dying world of Hollywood that they're going to milk every blood from stone they can get until there's just absolute no creativity left. I mean, we're on what? Toy Story 5 and Shrek 5 upcoming within the next couple years.
Boy, I had no idea.
There is no end to what Hollywood will do creatively with continuing a franchise, because creativity is dead. The system doesn't allow for very much new to come out anymore. It doesn't get recognized. Can they? Yes. Should they? No. I would not make another one. This one ended well. Leave it on the warm and fuzzies. You left Axel in a good place. He's back good with the daughter. I mean, what are you going to do again? Is he going to, he's all of a sudden, him and the daughter aren't good again, and blah, 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 whatever. I mean, how many diehards did they make where John McClane was, this one's him and his son, this one's him and his daughter, this one's blah, 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 whatever. Like, how many times are you going to do that? I mean, now, I don't know what his Netflix deal is. I don't know how many pictures he signed for how much money or whatever. But that will probably be the determining factor. But I wouldn't put it past Netflix to make some, streaming show about the daughter or some fuck thing.
Like a spin-off of her like legal career or something.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You know, have a legal drama show with the daughter.
Call it the Foley Files, and have her adopt her dad's name again. Have her adopt her dad's name again. Have him appear at court when she takes her Foley name back, and then he's only in the first episode, and then it goes on to woke shit. Whatever.
You need to be watching out for Netflix knocking on your door for head of creative, because you just got greenlit for a whole series that you're going to have to pilot. So be prepared for that. But it's whatever.
I really hope that somebody somewhere at some point in Hollywood gets the sense to start looking at some of these things and be like, "This is a good place to end."
Remember, it's show business. It's not show friends. It's show business.
The first two movies good. I don't know why people hate the second one the way they do. I thought it was great. I thought it was a perfect sequel to the first one.
The second one's not bad. It's just nowhere near as good as the first one is.
I think it's every bit as good. I think it's a great Axel.
I don't think so.
But the third one just not good. It was not a good ending. I mean, I know that they only really did it because there were some contractual obligations and whatever. And I don't even think Bruckheimer had anything to do with it. You could tell by the way it was filmed. It looked like a TV movie at some point. But I mean, you made this. You look. It's not as good as the first two, but it's a serviceable sequel that it leaves us in a good place with Axel Foley, with the character, with everybody in this universe. Mm-hmm. Why not just leave it alone? Now, Cora had mentioned possibly doing some kind of a TV series. They actually tried. They actually shot a pilot where Eddie Murphy is some kind of chief detective and his son is a new detective. And him and his son, he was going to help his son do whatever. They had actually shot a pilot for what was going to be the Beverly Hills Cop TV series. It didn't get picked up by anybody. Nobody liked it. And then eventually Bruckheimer got re-involved with it after walking away from it after the second one for lots of reasons. And then instead of doing that, they ended up developing this movie instead. So the pilot never happened. I don't know if the TV angle would work for this character, for this universe. I just don't think it makes much sense to me. No, I'm not saying they're not going to do it. I'm just saying it doesn't make any sense to me.
So I can't look forward to watching the Foley Files on Netflix in 2025.
Probably not. That. I mean, you never know. I mean, they're going to be done with Stranger Things this time next year. So I mean, they're going to start reaching.
That's it. I'm going to have to cancel the Netflix that I'm already not paying for. Then if I'm not getting my fucking show.
But with that said, with me saying if they should just end it now, let it be a good ending for the character. He's happy with his daughter now. We had that. We had that last scene, and Cora, you haven't seen the other two, but there's a scene in every movie where they're sitting in the car just like this, conversating, comedically bantering, things like that. That's a scene that happens in both the first two.
Where they answer the port. He's like, "No, we're gonna go get steak."
It's just him in the back of the car with Rosewood and Taggart in there, and they're bantering back and forth about whatever's going on. But I mean, that's why you get it. But for all that, of course, I look on the internet and I read this. On June 21st of 2024, Eddie Murphy and Jerry Bruckheimer revealed that a fifth Beverly Hills Cop film was already in development.
Development doesn't mean it's not going to be canceled. That just means that's not in production.
True.
That means they're probably writing a script and going to feel it out in focus groups to see if people want to fucking see it.
True, but think for a moment that this thing got what did I say earlier? 60-something million views, 41 million views in 5 days. For its first 5 days, and during its second week, they got 22.2. So you're looking at 63 million views.
I don't know.
Over the course of a year and a half.
But here's the thing, though. It's I don't know if Cora or you said it, Frank, but there's no guarantee that. I mean, what are you going to do? Are you going to bring back, Taggart and Paul Reiser and bring back everybody? It's not going to hit in the feels the same way it did this time. Every time you bring these legacy characters back, the returns get less and less. And yeah, it might be 60 million that watch it this time, but when part 5 comes out, it might be 40 or 45, whatever it may be. Mm-hmm. I don't need to see another Beverly Hills Cop. I don't really care. I didn't really need this one, to be honest with you, but I'm glad I watched it. But it's just, do you really want to dilute your brand into streaming hell to the point where nobody cares anymore?
The problem is, and I agree with what you say about diluting the brand. The problem is you're not diluting a brand that's the size of something like Marvel or Star Wars or DC. That's what I've said 100 times. That's what I think they're doing with Star Wars. They're diluting the brand. They're making it less valuable. This is not one of the brands that's
shit in the bed when it comes to Star Wars.
Take a chance, but you can take a chance on a brand that's got IP recognition and you can kind of rejuvenate it a little bit. That makes a little more sense. But still, it's like I don't understand. Here's my problem though. It's like I'm talking. What I say, 63 million views the first 2 weeks roughly. The average ticket price in the United States is something like $10.86. Now, to my math, that's $683,550,000. Now, it's not going to do that much in theaters. Best case scenario, it does 300 or 400 million. Best case scenario, because I know a lot of those people just watch it because they're like, it's on Netflix, it's free. I've already got Netflix. I'll see if it's any good. But even if you cut that down to like 250 million, maybe 300 million, you've probably made your money back, and you've got something that's going to draw people to your platform. So it's like 150. Look, Netflix, if you're spending the money, put it in theaters. Put it in theaters. I don't understand why they don't do this.
I know. Well, Netflix, I saw I forget what Netflix thing it was. I saw one Netflix movie in theaters. They had like a week run at a theater. So they do it sometimes, but I don't think they do it regular. It may have been at Alamo Draft House.
I think they've done it once with a notable movie, and I can't remember what movie it was.
I know there was one Netflix. I know there was one Netflix thing I saw at a theater, but I can't remember what it was. But just because 63 million people watch this, that does not mean that many people are. I don't think I would pay to go drive to see a Beverly Hills Cop 5 in theaters. I'll be real honest with you. Like, I'm not a big enough of a fan of the franchise to go do that. That would be one that I would wait for streaming on. I will say that much. So, I mean, hey, take your chance. I'm sure Eddie Murphy doesn't work cheap. I don't know how much money they paid him, but if he's making half as much as they paid somebody like Adam Sandler, that's going to have to make a whole hell of a lot of money. So, I don't know.
I mean, look, a lot of people would have gone to see this for the same reason I'd have gone to see it, for nostalgia's sake. I grew up watching the original movies in the 80s and early 90s, so I'm going to go see that. So if this comes out in theaters, I'm going to go see it because I want it to be good, and I'm hoping it's going to be good. I want to know with my own eyes whether it's good or not. Now, I might come out of the movie theater and jump in front of my phone and be like, God, this movie sucks. Don't go see it. There's my short review. We're not going to bother reviewing this thing because it sucked. But which is kind of why we haven't done Borderlands yet. That movie is looking like it's going to be one of the biggest bombs of the last 30 or 40 years. But I mean, seriously, $150 million. Maybe it would have made $250. You would have at least made your money back. You wouldn't have had to market it that much. I mean, look, one trailer, a couple of. It's like you're going to pay to advertise this during the Super Bowl. It's like a couple of trailers come out. You spend a few $million to advertise it, and then you're going to make your money back. Then you put it on Netflix, and then hopefully the people that like the theater are going to watch it on Netflix. Then the people that were waiting for it to hit Netflix are going to go watch it on Netflix. And you're still going to get the same views. You may as well put it on theater and make money. That's what I'm getting away from the original point I was going to make. If you're going to make a sequel, you can't make it and put it directly on Netflix because there is still a stigma out there that anything that goes directly to streaming is going to be shit. And if you say, and I think that's one of the things that hurts this movie a little bit with public perception is they're like, oh, I'm not going to bother watching it, put it straight to streaming. How good can it be? Well, it's entertaining. It's not the greatest movie ever, but it's a fun, entertaining movie. Don't let it fool you that they put this thing straight on Netflix. And Netflix is not doing themselves any favors by putting this stuff straight on the platform.
They don't want middlemen and losing a profit with distribution deals. So they think they're just better off putting it on their platform and getting people to subscribe to it just to see it rather than going to pay for a movie ticket.
Yeah, but you're still guaranteeing yourself not making. No, let's say this movie only makes $100 million. So yeah, you lose $50 million. But what's worse, losing $50 million or losing $150 million? I mean, at bare minimum, I would try to break even so the movie pays for itself.
This is my biggest problem with streaming, and it's like you just mentioned earlier. Obviously, prior to streaming coming along and taking a gigantic portion of the market share, it was straight to DVD and or TV.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you went. And if a property got downgraded from, something that used to be in theaters to now it's television, that was a death note. Now we live in a time where TV has kind of flipped the script on that a little bit. But take another franchise from the 80s that has went the TV route, Chucky. Chucky was, you had the Child's Play movies, Bride of Chucky, all of those, whatever. Those eventually played themselves into streaming, and then now it's just I think it got canceled by USA or whatever. It was a TV show. So you have another popular franchise that a lot of people care about that now is just, it's whatever. It's the, law of diminishing returns. And, that is Eddie Murphy charming? Yeah. Is he funny? Of course. But I don't think he's charming and funny enough to dictate a full feature-length film of that kind of budget, even as minuscule as 150 million or whatever you said is. I don't think it would work out for him.
I think that if they kept the budget right around here and released it in theaters first, I mean, even if it was just for the 45 days, which is what the theatrical window is now, I still think this movie would bare minimum make its money back, probably maybe even make bucks, and would probably greatly increase the public perception of the movie. That's just me. The reality is, I don't want them to make another one anyway. Let this be a solid ending for this character. Wait 10 or 15 years, maybe reboot it. Find another young actor who can go in there and kind of not be Eddie Murphy, but just kind of like be a different version of Axel, a different variant. We'll just say, since we like to use that word so much, a variant of Axel.
They need to cross it over with Lethal Weapon. Bring in Mel Gibson and Danny Glover. Have some I'm too old for this shit. Just Mel Gibson going crazy while Axel Foley's bouncing off of those two. Then I'll go see it in the theaters. Then you have my money.
Hey,
but other than that,
don't say that too loud. They've actually been talking about another Lethal Weapon. So don't say that too loud. That might actually happen. Let me go look real quick.
Well, I was going to say bring in Bruce Willis and Die Hard, but he's not doing so great, so we can't really have him. So it was Lethal Weapon I suggested. So.
Lethal Weapon franchise. Let me see here. 1, 2, 3. See what I tell you? I knew they've been talking about it.
Are they talking about another one?
Oh, they've been talking about it for a while. This apparently may be directed by Mel Gibson. It's actually written by Jez Butterworth. I have no idea who that is off the top of my head. Laura Schuler Donner is pretty sure on everything anymore. There had long been talk about a fifth Lethal Weapon film, although both Gibson and Danny Glover initially expressed a lack of interest. Gibson confirmed in November of 2021 that he was in talks to direct and star in a fifth film, saying that he would be helming the film to honor Donner, who wrote the screenplay and was originally set to direct the film prior to his death in July of 2021. Let's see. Somebody drafted a screenplay by word, committee interview, inspired me podcast that he would direct, blah, blah, blah. It would say Tudor Donner's vision influence. Gibson also said that he and Glover would return to play their respective roles of Riggs and Murtaugh. So
there you go. That's what I'm saying. If you want to do a Lethal Beverly Hills, Lethal Hills Cop, mix the name up however you want, but I would be down to see crazy Mel Gibson rattling off against Eddie Murphy. That would be worth the price of admission. But anything short of that, I don't really care.
I'm not interested. I'm not interested in any more shared universes. I don't even know how the hell they're going to make. I don't know how they're going to make this G.I. Joe fucking Transformer thing work either. I'm going to go see it because either it's going to be awesome or it's going to be a train wreck. One way or the other, it's going to be worth being buying at least one ticket.
All it takes is one chest burst from Optimus Prime, and all the G.I. Joes are dead. I don't care how much G.I. Joe tech you have, you're not battling whatever. I'll be seeing it. I'll check it out.
Yeah, but let's move into some trivia now, and I managed to find a couple of decent ones. I wish I had thought to grab a picture of them, but I didn't. Let's see. On Jeffrey's office wall in the beginning of the movie is a photo of Gilbert R. Hill, who played Inspector Todd, Hill passed away in 2016. Actually, I think let me go. I think you can see it in this picture. Come on, computer. Where's this picture at? I haven't had a chance to pull this picture up because I don't know where the hell it's at. You might be able to see it in this picture. No, it's behind his head. Go figure. But let's see. Hill played Inspector Todd. Hill passed away in 2016. Hill was an actual police officer whose only film roles were the Beverly Hills Cop movies.
Oh.
Really? Oh.
That I never knew.
Oh. That's cool. They got him in on the Easter eggs as a nod on the wall or whatever. That's cool to recognize stuff like that.
Yeah, I was actually doing a little bit of reading on him because I was kind of curious. And it turns out not only was he a cop, he actually may have been wrapped up in some kind of controversies during his law enforcement career.
Oh. No, you're telling me a cop in Hollywood being dirty? There's no way.
No, he wasn't a Hollywood cop. Yeah. Let me see. Oh, I'm typing it wrong. That's why I'm not getting any. That's why it's not coming up. Because apparently Frank just forgot to type. Let's see. It is American. Yeah. So let me go look at it real quick. He was he was an American politician. Oh, he's a politician too, police officer and actor who was the president of Detroit City Council. He gained recognition for his role as Beverly Hills Cop. He was the runner-up in the 2001 Detroit mayoral election, losing to Kwame Kilpatrick. Let's see. Let me look at his law enforcement career. Yeah, he joined the Sheriff's Department in Wayne County in 1957. Joined the Detroit Police Department in 1959. He was part of a law enforcement task force over 100 agents in the investigations surrounding the Atlanta child murders in 1979. I'll have to look into those, see what those were. He was promoted in the 80s, blah, blah, blah. In 2016, a former hitman named Nate Boone Kraft alleged that Hill had once offered to pay him $125,000 to kill someone named Richard Wershey Jr. to keep Wershey from revealing alleged corruption in the Detroit Police Department.
Wow. Okay.
I love that.
That's an allegation. Not saying it actually happened. So it could go either way. Following his retirement, he became a councilman for Detroit. He ran for mayor, blah, 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 didn't make it. Yeah, and then, of course, he did his then he did a little bit of acting in these movies. But I thought that was interesting. I never knew that. I just always thought he was some actor who I'd never seen in any of your movie. But turns out he was an actual cop.
There you go.
Let's see. When Bobby Abbott, played by Joseph Gordon-Levitt, goes over Axel's 3 other cases in Beverly Hills, he mentions that the third, quote, wasn't his finest hour, which is referencing Beverly Hills Cop 3 in 1994, a film that Eddie Murphy despises and is the lowest rated of the franchise.
I know. I figured those were references to the prior movies, and I figured it was bad. I hadn't even seen them, and I got that reference. So, yeah.
Yeah. I like how they snuck that little dug in on themselves on that one. I thought that was clever.
Well, there was I don't know if I had this in here or not. There was actually 2 digs they made at the third movie. In the scene where Axel sets the chair up on the thing, and then he fools Kevin Bacon into thinking that he had crawled up the escape.
Yeah.
In the third movie, he actually does that in the third movie. And so that's one of the reasons why when he pulls the chair out from under him and knocks him out when he falls down.
You never learn anything or something.
He looks at him and goes, "You watch too many movies." I was like, "Oh, that was an interesting little shot. I'll take that. That's pretty good." But this was also kind of a family affair. Let me see if I can. I got a lot of pictures of this movie that I'm never going to come close to using. Where's the one of him being arrested? You can't tell me that one didn't make it in here. Good God. Well, anyway, we'll go this one since I can't find the other one. Let's see. One of the 2 cops who arrested Axel Foley after the first chase was Eddie Murphy's daughter, Bria L. Murphy.
Oh, that's cool.
Really? I didn't know that. That's cool.
Nice little fun family cameo.
She was in something else, I forget. Not with him, but she was in something else.
I've never heard of her acting in anything else.
I don't think she's ever been like really big in anything. I think she's just done some small roles just for shits and giggles, that kind of thing.
Nice.
I think because the girl that plays his daughter in this film, I think I saw her. Wasn't she the star of that Watchmen TV show that HBO Max did a couple of years ago? It was a terrible woke show. It was garbage. but I think that's where I've seen her somewhere else before, but I couldn't place her. But I think she was the star of that, where she played like a police officer or something. I didn't know about his real daughter. Yeah, there was. It was. I mean, obviously based off the Watchmen, graphic novel. It wasn't based off of Zack Snyder's film, but it was more of a sequel to the actual Frank Miller book. But I think she was the star of that Watchmen television show. But I didn't know about his real daughter.
She was not in Watchmen. She was in the Baxter. She was in She's been in Grey's Anatomy. She's been in That's So Raven back in the 2000s. She did this.
I've seen her in something else.
Fun little note. She also starred alongside Kevin Bacon in the Toxic Avenger movie that apparently will never see the light of day, which disappoints me very much because I really want to see that movie. I don't care if it's bad. I just want to see it. She is also going to be in the Welcome to Derry TV show that they are making about it. That's kind of interesting. Anyway, that's the daughter right there on the right. I actually like
that. Oh, I'm trying to. As soon as I get off here, I'm going to have to look where the hell else am I seeing the daughter at? Because I've seen her in something else.
It might have been an uncredited thing.
It may have been I'm thinking one of the Purge movies. Maybe I can't place her for sure. I don't know. I've seen her in something fucking else. I can't remember.
She was in a Kendrick Lamar video. You listen to Kendrick Lamar, right?
Oh, he's my favorite. I have all his records, and I've been to many concerts. Can't you tell? So
yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I have not been the biggest Kendrick Lamar fan, but goddamn, that Black Panther, he did the soundtrack to the first Black Panther movie. That
was a great soundtrack.
That album is absolute fire.
I still listen to that music on some of my playlists. So yeah,
that whole soundtrack is awesome. But let's see.
I don't do the rap music. No, thank you.
Modern day rap and hip hop to me is garbage. I mean, the stuff in the 80s and up to about the mid 90s was good. Well, for some reason, it just turned into absolute shit. But yeah, that Kendrick Lamar album he did for the first Black.
That's one thing I can say about the music of this film, though. I love the 80s synth stuff that they used, but they go from straight up 80s to just modern day rap songs back to 80s. Especially towards the end of the film, they really get fast and loose with the score of it, what they do. They should have either used the 80s stuff or go modern with it. Don't mix it because it didn't blend well.
I think that's a mix of trying to be nostalgic and be modern, though. I don't think you're going to get away with that.
It probably is.
You're not just trying to get the old guys like me and you. You're trying to get the young kids into it as well. So how does
but
music make sense?
If you're doing it, dude, this was an 80s movie in 2024. This is what this was. Let's be honest. But I don't know. The modern music kind of pulled me out of it a little bit. I'm always down for a good.
Probably pulled the younger crowd in. So there's a catch.
Yeah, but those kids need to get off my lawn, so they can go to hell. So it's
fine. Let's see. I don't know if you guys noticed or not, but in the beginning of the movie, he was driving a crappy blue Chevy Nova, which is the exact car.
One of the tail lights was broken on, by the way. It drove me nuts. They let a light stay out, but whatever.
Hey, you know what?
Could you imagine?
It's great though seeing him in that car again. I was just like, you know what? I'm with it. I'm with it.
I just want to see. I've never seen a dump truck with a plow on the front of it. Jesus Christ, you could do.
In the Midwest,
you don't
in
get
the Midwest, that's common. Trust me, in
Dude,
South Dakota, they keep them. It's a thing. Yeah.
If we get an inch of ice or snow down here, then the entire state shuts down. Texas does not operate for a week when that happens. So we have no need for dump trucks with plows on them. So,
see, here, at least I'm not in the Midwest anymore, but my experience being a West Coast person going to the Midwest, I learned that if they can put a snow plow thing on the front of it, they put it on it, whether it's a four-wheeler, a dump truck, a trash truck, whatever. They are ready to move snow.
That was whatever. Now I will say, as far as cars go in the movies, there is no way in liberal ass California that badass of a Bronco would have survived this long untouched without those hippies carving it up and melting it down for some modern art project. God knows what they would have done to it. But I think I'm a Chevy guy, but I love me a good Ford Bronco. I'll say that.
There's still plenty of gas guzzlers in Southern California. I watch police chases all the time. I don't know if you guys ever watch Smoke and Scan on YouTube. That guy's fucking hilarious. He just gets high and watches live police chases all the time. It's one of the funnest channels to watch. And it's like all the time I'll see guys like some guy stole like a work truck, and it was not an electric vehicle at all. It was just loaded up with tools and that kind of shit. It led the police on like an hour and a half long chase that ended up in a standoff at the end of some cul-de-sac because he ran out of road. And for the last like hour that he was holding himself up, he was huffing some kind of gas out of a big blue canister. He was smoking a joint. It's like, those cars still exist in California. They're getting lesser and lesser, but they're still there. They're still there. Did you guys catch the cameo on the golf course? Did you want a shared universe?
Shooter McGavin. Yeah, Shooter McGavin. Yeah, I saw it. Yeah.
If you want a shared universe, here's where it is going to be, my friend. Christopher McDonald, who played Adam Sandler's nemesis in Happy Gilmore.
The guy who had I knew I recognized him from something. Yeah,
Shooter McGavin. Yeah.
He plays a golfer in this movie. Coincidentally, Sandler is making Happy Gilmore 2, and both characters will be in the movie again.
Well, cool.
And I think I read somewhere that while he is not credited in the film as being Shooter McGavin, that is who he actually is Shooter McGavin.
Nice.
So in Happy Gilmore 2, Shooter McGavin's gonna be like, yeah, I was in LA playing golf last week and a helicopter just landed out of nowhere. It was crazy or something. Like they're gonna have one of those kind of lines or something.
Maybe, but I thought it was kind of funny. I also maybe this is just a little bit of marketing on Netflix's part, and I give them a lot of credit because the one thing that Netflix has been terrible about is marketing its movies. Netflix markets its movies like an absolute ass. But I give them a lot of credit. If that's what this was a little wink to Happy Gilmore because they're in the process of making another Happy Gilmore film that is going to go to Netflix, I'd say, hey, good on you, Netflix. Good on you for reminding us that Shooter McGavin is still out there in the world somewhere.
They should have had him like practicing putting with a hockey stick or something, like just off in the background somewhere or something. That could have been fun.
Maybe that could have been fun. Yeah, he just turns around and is like, what's all that noise over there? And he holds up the hockey stick. or
they show him going to play golf in the Happy Gilmore movie. He goes, you guys don't let helicopters land here, do you? Because I can't fucking deal with that shit anymore.
I just Adam Sandler was just on Joe Rogan's podcast. It was a great podcast. If you guys get a chance to listen to it, he talks about all kinds of shit. But Cora probably wouldn't recognize it because she hasn't seen the first one yet. But you may have texted. I kind of thought it might have been, and then when I saw this, it made sense. The mansion that Axel breaks into while Jane, Serge, and Bobby are house hunting is the same mansion that belonged to Victor Maitland in the first movie, where the final shootout happens.
Really? I didn't recognize that.
I was looking at it, as I was watching the movie, I kind of thought to myself, I was like, maybe that's the same house, maybe it's not, but it's Southern California. All the houses in that neighborhood kind of look alike. So I'm like, I'm not going to, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. And when I read this, I was like, okay, now it makes sense.
The realtor in this movie, I forget what her name is.
Oh, she comes annoying gal. Oh, my. She says, buy the house, and then the van go, yeah, this house sucks. Like, what are
you doing? She did not shut up. I'm thinking, my Lord, woman. It's no wonder you're single. You never shut your freaking mouth. My God.
California realtors. Let me tell you, West Coast realtors are people-pleasing weirdos.
I like how she couldn't make her mind. She's like, I love this house. I hate this house. And I'm like, are you being
I think Frank's like I think Frank's like one of the few sane Californians because he got out at an early age and he wasn't affected long term by the effects of that state. But if that's what lives out there,
don't let what California became fool you into what California once was. There was a reason why everybody always said California was 5 years ahead of everybody else, because they were. Now, oh no, I don't know what the fuck. Right. Now that place is successful.
Well, that's what I'm
saying. It's my home. I love that place. One of these days, when I have shuffled loose this mortal coil, that's where my body will lie. It's in my will. It's gonna happen. I've already talked to Jennifer about this. There's a plan. This is where I'm gonna be. But yeah, I mean, what it is now, not at all the California.
No, it's so many of those women right there, beautiful to look at, but the minute they start talking, it's like, oh God, I just can't deal with you. You're just too much.
The same can be said for men. It's not just women.
The 80s and early 90s California was so good. It was so awesome. But now it's like, I don't get it. But I mean, the reality is everybody's gone a little wonky. Men, women, gay, straight.
This is true.
We've all lost our minds at least a little bit. But let's see. I don't know if it was this car or not. But Axel and Bobby steal a red convertible Mercedes when they are, after that funny conversation with the valet. This car is the modern equivalent of the red Mercedes convertible driven by the Jenny Summers character in Beverly Hills Cop in 1984. That's not the exact car. It's the one they steal later.
Didn't the daughter have a red convertible as well? BMW or something?
She had a red BMW convertible. That's the one that was knocked over in the parking garage. Yes.
Yeah. Which, by the way, if that car had just been literally leaned over the side of a building, it would not be driving, by the way. There'd be drive shaft problem, all kinds, like
I think
the car guy, was like.
I don't think that was the same. I think she got a different
one. I don't know. I don't know if it was a different one or not. They didn't specify. But if that was the same one, Jesus Christ, like that drive shaft alone would have had to have been replaced whenever it bangs off the side of that building. But, that's just the car nerd in me, coming out.
Mm-hmm.
I am not a car nerd at all. But talking about age, something that's getting all of us. When talking about making the film to People magazine, Eddie Murphy said, quote, "It was a hard one. I did Axel Foley when I was in my 20s. I am not in my 20s anymore. It was an action movie, so it was a rough one, but we got through it." For the record, Murphy was 23 years old when he did the first Beverly Hills Cop movie in 1984. He is now 63 years old.
Jesus.
Dude, have you ever heard that black don't crack? Look at that guy right there on your screen.
Yeah.
Tell me, if I were to look at him, I'd be like, yeah, he's probably in his 40s. He looks amazing for 63.
Black don't crack and adrenochrome is real, folks. So what can I tell you? It's one or both of those things is true, depending on your set of beliefs. But, what you gonna do?
I don't know that. Look, I don't know that it's necessarily a race thing, because I hear the same thing about some of my Mexican relatives. They're like, oh, Mexicans age well. I'm like, I don't know. I mean, there's some Mexicans in my family that have aged well, some that haven't.
I'm going to tell you something. I studied genetics in high school, in college courses, and it has to do with, I won't get too sciencey, but basically there's no race association with this, but it has to do with your telomeres, and that is what determines the degradation rate of your age and your DNA, and it is not a race thing. It varies, and it's based on genetics within your family lines, not race. So
yeah, but it's funnier to say black don't crack because it's a joke and everybody knows it is, and we all need to laugh a little bit in life, so it's all good.
Look, all I know is he still looks fantastic. He looks amazing.
Oh no, he looked great. Now I will say, I did have to notice, like, he's obviously, Eddie Murphy's not as thin as he used to be. So a couple of the wide shots, whenever you would see him walking, you'd see the belly kind of pop out of that jacket every once in a while. I did notice that a few times during the film. So that was kind of fun to see. But,
in the next movie, he's going to be like Taggart. He's going to have like a bunch of medication in his desk. So I can't take the kidney pill with the liver pill? What the hell?
That's the most unbelievable. I can buy him doing all the stunts. But could you imagine wearing that thick of a Letterman jacket in Southern California heat? No,
well, it
no
depends
way,
on the
dude.
time of year, though. It could have been like fall or spring.
Yeah, but
Southern California,
it's 80 degrees in January in Southern California.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I mean, that kind of jacket is meant for like snow on the ground. When they clearly established when he left Detroit, it was snowing and shit. So this is the kind of year that we're in,
Well, it could be just that's his comfort. Sometimes people wear things when they travel that they're comfortable with that make no sense for where they are.
I know for a fact that you've got the same stupid kids down there. It could be 105 degrees, and there's some kid walking around wearing pants and a hoodie.
One of them lives in my house. One of them lives in my house. I took my kids to the beach a couple years ago. My child wore a hoodie to the ocean. I wanted to just leave her there because that was the stupidest thing I'd ever seen.
Well, maybe that was about body image, and she didn't want someone to look at her body in a sexual way.
I mean, in all fairness, though, look, sometimes, having grown up in California, there are some beaches you can go to that, yeah, you're on the beach, it's sunny, but all that cold air is blowing in off the ocean. So it's like I've seen people walking around in shorts and flip-flops with a hoodie on because it's a kind of a cool breeze. I mean, if you're just walking around in a t-shirt and a pair of board shorts, it can get a little nippy. So maybe a hoodie is not the craziest thing. But where I grew up was way farther north, up near the Bay Area in San Francisco. And that temperature tends to stay a little more moderate. It doesn't usually get into the 80s and 90s like it does in LA or someplace, south.
And some people run hot and some people run cold.
And some people have different tolerances.
Yeah.
We were at the Reds Giants game when Blake Snell did the no-hitter a week or two ago. And I went down there and I'm just wearing like a Giant shirt. Jennifer grabbed one of my Giant shirts, and my two sons went with us. And my youngest son, he's about as tall as me. He weighs about 120 pounds soaking wet. He's sitting there in like whatever torn jeans he likes to wear and like a black hoodie. And I'm like, it's 90 degrees. And since it was humid as shit that day too, by the way, because we got there like an hour and a half early. And there was a game and a big concert. I forget which country singer was down there because my oldest son was going back down there the next day to go to his concert. But so it's like that area of Cincinnati was just packed. So it was humid, it was hot, it was crowded. And I'm looking at him like, how the hell are you wearing a hoodie? I was like, I just got out of the shower before we left to drive down there. I was like, I already feel like I'm gross.
Like, and some people don't sweat as much. I don't sweat a lot compared to other people I know.
Yeah, he was just there. We had to get some Jimmy John's before he went to the stadium. Like he's eating his Jimmy John's with his hoodie on, comfortable as hell. And I'm like, how do you do that? I don't get it. I don't understand that at all. Right. But I didn't get a good picture of it. But in Billy Rosewood's office, he has a poster for 2008's Rambo on his wall.
Oh, cool.
A very famous little tidbit of information about this franchise is that Sylvester Stallone was originally supposed to star in Beverly Hills Cop in 1984.
Oh.
And Tex might remember. Cora hasn't seen the movie yet, so she doesn't know. In Beverly Hills Cop 2, when he goes into Billy's bedroom to use the phone, he's got a Stallone Cobra poster up there from his movie Cobra. You ever seen that?
So it's a throwback.
So it's kind of a little bit of an in-joke to the second and third movie.
Which was it? Last Action Hero with Schwarzenegger, where Stallone played the Terminator, and they actually did the cutout of him and whatever. Like,
on the
so there's
the shotgun,
from the famous Terminator 2 cardboard cutout. There's a lot of Stallone call-outs for stuff. I mean, but hell, he's Sly. He's one of the biggest stars of the '80s. It's to be expected.
Well, what's really funny is the movie Cobra that he did. That was what he wanted this movie to be, because when he was in talks to make this Beverly Hills Cop in the '80s, he wanted something darker. He wanted a little not I won't say raunchier, but definitely grittier, more murder. He wanted it to be a much darker film. And him and the producers kind of couldn't get together on what they wanted the film to be, so he left the project. And then somebody was just like, hey, let's just make an action comedy. Let's cast this kid that just left Saturday Night Live, because they call Eddie Murphy. And then history is made. They ended up making it more of an action comedy. Yeah. It became what it became. And then they took a lot of I guess Stallone took a lot of the elements that he wanted to put into his version of Beverly Hills Cop and made that movie Cobra, which Cobra's a killer movie. I think it's one of my favorite Stallone movies. I mean, it's not Rambo and Rocky level as far as acting and overall movies are concerned. But it's a really cool. It's borderline horror. He's chasing a serial killer throughout this movie. And so in the beginning of the movie, some people have died, and he's like this badass LA detective who drives a pimpin' ass car. You're a car guy. This is one of the cars that I swoon over. But he drives this pimpin' ass car. And it's actually like a gang of serial killers. And they get together with axes and they chant and do all kinds of crazy shit. It's the crazy. I've got it on DVD. I don't know where they have it for streaming. Let me look real quick because we may end up doing this.
It's probably been 20 years since I've seen the movie. I mean, it's been forever ago since I've seen it, but I have watched the film before. It's pretty good.
Cobra, is it streaming? Of course, it's not streaming anywhere. That would just be too easy. I've got it on DVD. I mean, it's only $3. It's only $3 on Amazon.
Just because a film is not streaming doesn't mean there's not ways of finding it, my friend.
True.
You can't buy things on Amazon.
You know, some things cost money. Other things you can sell the high seas for. You know, if you know what I'm saying. So,
you find that the seedy underbelly of the internet, then you'll figure it out.
It depends how creative you get. You know, it's all good.
But that's all the trivia I've got. So we'll probably start to wrap things up there. I'll go to you for First Lady Cora. Close us out. Give me your final thoughts on Beverly Hills Cop Axel F.
Well, I liked it, and it's made me want to watch the other movies. So if other people like the other movies, they would probably like this. It goes reverse. So, you know.
Cora's going to come up with a different way of watching the movies. Like all these people that say you got to watch Star Wars Episode 1, then 4, then 7. I'm like, no, just watch them as they came out. So we're going to call it the Lady Cora version of the Beverly Hills Cop.
Cora's going to be the person that says, "I think 3 was the best one." She'll say some shit like that. Yeah.
He's going to be like, unpopular opinion. The third one's actually pretty good. And then the internet's going to explode and be like, no, you are literally Hitler. Because that's how dumb the internet is. How about you? Give me your final thoughts on Beverly Hills Cop, Axel F.
Yeah, fun watch. You know, 80s cop thriller, you know, shoot 'em up, funny with, you know, the Eddie Murphy factor. You know, they redeemed 3, I can say that for sure. But, you know, how do you not redeem it with bringing back as many stars as they did and having Kevin Bacon as your bad guy? So, I mean, if you've got Netflix, it's not going to cost you anything. You might as well watch it if you hadn't already. So, yeah, it's a fun one.
Yeah, you know, I'm really anal about my my legacy stuff from the 80s. Again, I was given a gift in Top Gun Maverick, a movie that's never been as good as the original. This one, while not to that level, look, it's still entertaining. I mean, look, it's better. Like,
it's nowhere near as good as Top Gun Maverick. Hell,
it's nowhere. No, it's not that level, but it's entertaining. You know, it's Eddie Murphy as Axel Foley. I mean, you have to really screw it up like you did in the third one to make that character not exciting to see on the screen. So look, I mean, they modernized it enough. They played a little bit of the I'm too old for this shit with Eddie Murphy. They played a little bit of that angle, but not overplayed it. I mean, they gave him a different emotional driver with his daughter. It was great to see some of the old guys get back together. I would have liked to have seen Ronnie Cox in here at some point. It would have been fun if he could have played like the mayor of Beverly Hills for like 5 minutes. But I'm one of those people that I don't want to see cameos just for the sake of seeing cameos. I want to see them be important to the movie. So I get it that he's not around anymore. But it was a fun movie. And again, like Tex said, it's on Netflix. If you've already got a Netflix subscription, if you're familiar with the original movies from the 80s and into the 90s, then go ahead and watch it. It's fun. I mean, I don't feel like I lost 2 hours of my life I'm never going to get back on this movie. I don't feel bad about it. You know what I mean? It was a fun movie. I've watched it a couple of times now. I'll probably watch it again at some point. You know, if I can't think of anything else to watch, I'm going to watch this movie because I know I'm going to get some joy out of it. That's good. That's all I wanted out of this movie. I wanted something decent. They gave me something decent, and I'm happy with that. Again, do I want to see them make any more? No. Just don't. I mean, I don't think there's much you can do with this franchise now that is going to make it so fresh and new that it's going to make sense to have a 5th one and then a 6th one. And then next thing you know, it's going to be like fucking Fast and Furious. It's going to be like Beverly
Hills Cop, the next generation.
Axel X. and he's going to be in space trying to fight some fucking cop killer. I don't know whatever the hell they're going to do over there. I shouldn't say anything. They might actually be like, oh my God, that's a great story. We should do that.
Fast and Furious put a Mustang in space. Why not Beverly Hills Cop put a Chevy Nova in space? Damn it!
I wouldn't have been so upset if it was a Mustang. At least a Mustang's a muscle car. They put a Fiero in space.
Or a Fiero, whatever. I thought it was
a Charger. I might have been like, okay, it's an American muscle in space. That makes sense. But no, they put a Fiero.
Hey, but you know what? this movie could fit within the Fast and Furious. I mean, he did it for family. He did it for his daughter, right? So maybe it's a spinoff of it. Who knows? I don't fucking know.
I'm just so glad there wasn't. I'm so glad there wasn't a post-credit scene of like him sitting there to light in Beverly Hills and Dom Toretto rolls up. It's like, "What's up, man? What's up, bro?"
Oh boy!
I live my life. I live my life a quarter mile at a time.
I would have canceled my Netflix right before the credits finished rolling. I would have canceled my Netflix right then and there. But
before Vin Diesel gets the line out, you turn it off.
I'd be like, nope, click, nope. But again, it's free. It's on Netflix. Give it a watch. I think if you're familiar with the original movies, I think you're going to like this one. It's fun. But we're going to go ahead and close it out there. I want to thank my amazing co-host, as always. Jeremy will be back hopefully next week, because we're planning on doing Alien Romulus next week. So I'm looking forward to going to see that this weekend. I'm really hoping they get back to the horror elements of the original movie from '79, and it looks like they might be doing that. The initial reviews have been good. They've not been great, but they've been good, and that's very promising. But the Dowager Countess Lady Cora, where can the folks at home find you, my dear?
Here, sometimes. Otherwise, I'm allergic to the internet. Sometimes I bug Casey in his live streams, reminding everybody watch this channel, which I did today. Other than that, I'm kind of, I mod Drew's chat sometimes, but other than that, I'm kind of just offline.
And to the chef of the Lone Star State, my man Tex. What do you got going on, my friend?
Well, when I'm not in the hospital having a heart attack, almost dying, here talking about movies and shit, having fun. I know I didn't realize we were going to review Alien Romulus. I was already going to go see it either way, but go check out that film. I'm a big fan of Fede Alvarez. I like what he's done. He did his 2013 Evil Dead movie. I really enjoy, and I just hope this is a good Alien film, and it's somewhat reminiscent of the first one, because I love the first Alien. So, low expectation, but we'll see what happens. So I'm hopeful. So we'll be back Tuesday.
Yeah, like I said, you will see me back here on Tuesday, more than likely doing Alien Romulus. I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be pretty fun. Reviews have been pretty good. Trailers look really good. I have moderate expectations, because these days I never know. Again, we're looking at a legacy sequel, I know. Also, I found out earlier today, I was watching a YouTube video. It actually takes place in the middle of the Alien timeline.
Yeah, so this is technically Alien 1.5.
Yeah, before Aliens. So I'm curious as to how that's going to affect the story. I was talking to a friend of mine earlier, and I won't spoil like he did for me, but I know how, and even knowing how, I'm still interested. I'll say that. So I do know spoilers on this film. So, well, he didn't mean to spoil. He was just excited and talking about it. He just kind of vomited up the mouth, and so I know the spoiler. Well, he didn't tell me. I stopped him before he gave it all away, but I know the biggest main point. But even knowing what kind of the hook is for this one, I'm still interested. So I'm hopeful. So you will see us back here on Tuesday doing Alien Romulus. Until then, I want to thank my amazing co-host for being so awesome. As always, the Dowager Countess Lady Cora, who me and her will be getting together at some point.
Yes.
Shit happens. But we will see you guys on Tuesday. Until next time, adios.
Bye.
I mean, whatever. Honestly, at this point, I think they're just going to end up making like the modern day Downton Abbey before I get around to doing those again. I just need to get off my ass and get it done. Like Downton Abbey 2024.
Whenever I saw the cocaine in this movie, I couldn't think about nothing but Deadpool from Deadpool 3 with all the, Colombian marching powder jokes and, Blind Owl talking about, all those things.
It would have been funny for him to have popped in the screen for 1 second and be like, oh, they can talk about cocaine.
Kevin Feige said